The movie starts by telling the story of two people, Rupasov and Zoli. Rupasov was once a very feared assassin, and he's been using a wheelchair for the past 3 years due to his injuries. Zoli, on the other hand, has had to use a wheelchair all his life because he was born with a disability. Zoli now lives in a dormitory with his friend Adam. In his free time, Zoli enjoys drawing comics, and he's quite good at it. One day, while Zoli and Adam were playing with fire extinguishers in a small alley near their dorm, Rupasov showed up and didn't like their behavior. He got upset and attacked Zoli. A fight broke out, but then Rupasov realized that he had gone too far with Zoli and Adam. Rupasov then said sorry and invited the two young men to his party. Zoli and Adam seemed to have a good time at the party. Later, Rupasov offered Zoli and Adam jobs as assassins and promised them a life of luxury like they experienced at the party. A few days later, Zoli was in the hospital, and the doctors wanted to do surgery on him. But Zoli said no because his father, who had left him when he was born because of his disability, was paying for it. The story then changes to Rupasov, who received a mission from his boss. Rupasov waited for his target in an empty parking lot. A car pulled up and some guys got out and came towards him. One of them threatened Rupasov with a knife and stabbed him in the leg, but Rupasov seemed fine. He explained that he couldn't feel anything in his legs ever since he started using a wheelchair. This made the other guys laugh at him. Then one of them kicked Rupasov, and he coughed before taking a plastic bag from his pocket. Inside the bag was a gun, and he used it to shoot all the guys one by one until they were all dead. After Rupasov managed to defeat the people who attacked him, an ambulance came to help him. A female medic named Zita treated his leg wound. It turns out they knew each other. Rupasov had feelings for her and asked her to go to a movie after her shift, but Zita declined and said she was already engaged to someone else. Rupasov was very sad because the woman he loved was already with someone else. He even tried to end his own life by jumping from a pedestrian bridge, but he survived. Rupasov realized he couldn't give up on life and decided to carry on. The story changes when Rupasov gets paid by his boss, who tells him to keep his job a secret and not work with others. Interestingly, Rupasov had been getting help from Zoli and Adam all along. A few days later, Rupasov ran into Zoli at the hospital, where Zoli was getting treatment for his leg. Rupasov told Zoli not to help him anymore and ended their partnership. However, Zoli refused and insisted on continuing to help him. Zoli also made it clear that he wouldn't take any money from his father, despite his mother's persuasions. After finishing his leg therapy, Rupasov waited for Zita in front of the hospital. He wanted to give her a bouquet of roses as a gift because he loved her. Unfortunately, he felt disheartened when he saw Zita with her fiancé. Afterward, Rupasov received a job to eliminate an important person. He came up with a plan to do it while the person was having lunch at a restaurant by the highway. Rupasov waited on one side of the road, while Zoli and Adam positioned themselves on the other sides to help him. Rupasov successfully carried out his mission with the help of a group of pigeons and a crowd of people passing by. He managed to do it without anyone suspecting him. Suddenly, as the official crossed the street, he collapsed and there was blood on his body. His bodyguards were busy trying to find the shooter, but no one would think that 3 disabled men in wheelchairs were involved. The 3 quickly left the scene. Later, Rupasov ran into Zita while getting on a bus. She gave him an invitation to her wedding. However, without Rupasov knowing, his boss was watching what he did. When they met, his boss got very angry with him for not following their rules and pushed him to the ground. The boss gave him one chance to make things right. This time, Rupasov was given a mission to eliminate Zoli and Adam. The following day, Rupasov took his 2 friends fishing at a lake. Even though it was tough going through the grassy areas to reach their destination, they finally made it to the lake and began fishing. When Adam got excited because something took the bait and asked for help with the fishing line, instead of helping him, Rupasov pushed him into the lake. After that, Rupasov pushed Zoli into the water and thought about leaving them there. But he couldn't bear to let his friends drown, so he jumped into the lake to rescue Zoli and Adam. When they all got back to the pier, Rupasov pretended it was just a joke. It was the first time he had failed a mission given to him. Once they returned from the lake, Rupasov invited his friends to a party at his house. During the party, he talked to them about Zita and how much he loved her. Rupasov's friends wanted to help him win Zita back and started making plans. The following day, 3 of Rupasov's female friends helped him stand up and leaned him against a vehicle, suggesting that he could stand without needing a wheelchair anymore. Rupasov waited for Zita to return home from the hospital, but she didn't show up even after hours of waiting. Their plan failed badly. A few days later, Rupasov received a new mission from his boss to eliminate a drug dealer, with the promise of double payment. Rupasov agreed to take on the job, but he made it clear that it would be his last mission, and he wouldn't accept any more after that. The boss agreed to his condition. Rupasov and his 2 friends went to the target's house. He had Zoli and Adam wait in the car while he carried out his plan. The guards searched Rupasov before letting him inside the house, but didn't find anything suspicious like a gun or sharp objects. Thinking everything was safe, they took him to meet their boss inside the house. Inside the house, when Rupasov met the drug dealer, he began to carry out his plan. He retrieved a hidden gun from the wheelchair's foam cushions and started shooting at the guards in the house. Unfortunately, he missed his main target. Instead of trying to escape, the drug dealer grabbed a gun and started a shootout with Rupasov. However, Rupasov had more experience with weapons due to his job as a hitman, even though his body wasn't in perfect shape. Despite getting injured and his clothes getting stained with blood, he eventually managed to kill everyone and complete his mission. After that, he hurriedly left the scene to get away. As he reached the gate, Rupasov heard police sirens in the distance. He struggled to open the locked gate, but couldn't. Zoli and Adam, who were in the car, looked scared. Zoli took the lead and distracted the police car, while Adam helped Rupasov get out of the house. They all managed to escape. Later, Rupasov met with his boss to get paid for his work. Strangely, the boss took Rupasov for a ride somewhere. They arrived at an empty warehouse, and Rupasov sensed that something was off because there was a hanging rope. It turned out that his boss had figured out Rupasov's plan. He knew that Rupasov's friends were still alive. His boss was angry and disappointed because Rupasov had betrayed his trust. He put a rope around Rupasov's neck, took away his wheelchair, and left him alone. Rupasov struggled hard to loosen the rope around his neck while gripping his shoe's toes to avoid choking. He attempted to reach his wheelchair, which was not too far away. However, all his attempts were unsuccessful. After nearly giving up because his efforts seemed fruitless, the knot on the rope around his neck finally loosened a bit. He took the rope off his head and survived. When he got back home, Rupasov quickly gathered his friends, planning to get back at the boss who had crossed the line. A few days later, Rupasov went to Zita's wedding with Zoli and Adam. He looked really nice in a white suit with his hair neatly done. Rupasov even showed off his singing skills, and many people, including Zita, praised him. She got emotional and started crying. But then, out of nowhere, Rupasov kissed Zita, which made her husband very jealous. After the party ended, Zita's husband and his friends attacked Rupasov for what he had done to his wife. Zoli came to Rupasov's rescue. He threatened Zita's husband with a gun and got Rupasov out of there. In the following days, Rupasov began his plan for revenge against his boss. He and Zoli went to the boss's hideout without hiding, while Adam stayed outside. Rupasov claimed he wanted the payment for a previous job the boss owed him, but the boss refused to pay and threatened to set his dogs on Rupasov and Zoli. Rupasov then pulled out his gun and shot at a nearby fire extinguisher, making the dogs panic and run outside. The boss immediately attacked him and made him drop the gun. He kept stabbing Rupasov with a knife. Zoli managed to get Rupasov's gun, but chose not to help him. He let the boss harm Rupasov until he died. Then Zoli killed the boss and took all the money from the boss's safe, which he planned to use for his leg surgery. And that's how the story of the wheelchair killer came to an end. It turns out that everything we saw about Rupasov in the story is just a made-up tale from a comic book created by Zoli. Zoli invented a character named Rupasov, who looks like his father and also has a disability like Zoli himself. In real life, Zoli never got to meet his father. He only has a picture of his father, who resembles the character Rupasov, and this inspired him to create a comic involving his father and himself. Surprisingly, the comic became popular and caught the attention of publishers, leading to great success. Zoli even sent a copy of the comic to his father as a memento. And that's how the movie comes to an end. So the moral of the story is don't push your friends into a lake if you want to be a successful hitman. And remember, comics can turn your life around, even if your dad's a fictional wheelchair assassin.